Good day, this is Environmental Health NSC 302. I'll be taking you through study section 2, Effect of Environmental Factors on the Health of the Community. When you have studied this section, you should be able to define environment and explain the effect of the interaction of man in the environment. You should be able to highlight and explain the fundamental components of the environment. And lastly, you should be able to explain the interrelationship of environmental components. Everything which surrounds us may collectively be termed as the environment. The air which we breathe, the soil on which we stand, living and non-living things around. In another instance, Barrow, 1995, defined environment as the sum total of the conditions within which organizations live. Similarly, Miller, 1994, defined environment as all external conditions and factors, living and non-living, that affect an organism or other specified system during its lifetime. In a simple term, you will now realize that environment means and include the air, water, soil, plant and animal, etc., all of which you interact with and which influence you either positively or negatively, depending on how you control or make use of them. There are various components of the environment, and these components are physical component, living component, and social component. The physical component consists of the non-living, that is abiotic part of the environment, which could be air, water, light, heat, radiation, gravity, pressure, and climate. The physical environment can be further subdivided into four segments, which are the lithosphere, the hydrosphere, the atmosphere, and the biosphere. The lithosphere is the earth crust, which consists of the soil and the rocks. The hydrosphere comprises of all water resources, both surface and groundwater. The atmosphere is the gaseous envelope surrounding the Earth and extends up to 500 km above the Earth's surface. The biosphere is a capsule encircling the Earth's surface wherein all the living things exist. This portion extends from 10,000 meters below sea level to 6,000 above sea level. The second component under the environment is the living component. The living components of the environment comprise of plants, animals, and microorganisms, which could be bacteria or fungi. They carry out different functions, and based on their role, they are classified into three main groups, which are the producers, consumers, and decomposers. The producers are mainly green plants having chlorophyll. They produce carbohydrate by photosynthesis process. In effect, the plant converts solar, which is the sun energy, into chemical energy using water and carbon dioxide. We also have the consumers, which are living things which do not have chlorophyll, and hence they are unable to produce their own food. They rely on the producers for their food requirements, and they are called heterotrophs. We also have the decomposers, which are called the saprotrophs, and are mainly microorganisms like bacteria and fungi. The dead organic materials of producers and consumers are their food. They break down the organic matter into simple compounds during their feeding processes. And lastly, we have social component of the environment. This is the part of environment that focuses on humans. In essence, it represents the situation of human beings as members of society, that is, family groups, villages, or urban communities, cultures which include beliefs and attitude, and so on and so forth. Let's continue as we learn about the main types of environment. And there are main two types of environment, which are natural environment and man-made environment. The natural environment commonly refers to simply as the environment the natural environment is a term that comprises of all living and non-living things that occur naturally on Earth or some part of it. The term includes a few key components, which are number one, complete landscape units, number two, universal natural resources and phenomena, and number three, natural features which occur within area heavily influenced by human. What about the second types of environment, which is the man-made environment? The natural environment is contrasted with the built environment, which comprises the areas of and components that are heavily influenced by man. The man-made or built environment includes physical structures where people live and work, such as homes, offices, schools, farms, factories, as well as community systems such as roads and transportation systems, land use practices, and waste management. Consequences of human alteration to the natural environment, such as air pollution, are also part of man-made environment. Let's move on as we talk about different interrelationship of environment components. Energy and living beings, including man, are interrelated and interconnected in one way or the other. Living beings are dependent upon the physical environment, which are the land, water, air, and energy for their existence. At the same time, they also affect the physical component, just as the changed physical conditions again have a direct impact on living beings. Interrelationships in nature take many forms. Plants and vegetation provide home for animals, insects, and birds pollinate flowers. Animals help the dispersal of seed of plants. Parasites infect plants or animals. There is also the nature's cleanup crew, the crow, the eagle, the hyena, and others who act as scavengers. The bacteria aid in decomposing the dead, which play an important role in returning the organic and inorganic components of dead animals and plants back to nature to be used and reused by subsequent living organisms. Plants takes nature's raw material of earth, water, air, and sunlight and organize them into living substance. But without the help of animals, plants would long ago have organized themselves out of existence, for they would have locked up in the earth the world's available supply of carbon and then die of starvation. Fortunately, the animals came along in time to heat the plants and thus release the carbon and thus keep the cycle functioning. The carbon not released in this way is still available to us today in the form of charcoal. I hope you have learned one or two things in this study section, and I hope that you will continue to learn more. Thank you for listening.